evening, everyone. This is Mubin Kader, and I'm Deputy Director of Finance here in the city of Richmond. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this evening, for this community engagement meeting. If you haven't done that already, there are sign-in sheets. Please go ahead and sign in. And at the end of the session, there will be question answer. And depending on the number of participants, there may be a limit of 2 minutes for in-person and online attendees. And also we have a note board over there. If you are not able to, or you're not comfortable speaking up, or you don't get a chance to speak up in mic or live, you can go ahead and note down your suggestions and questions on that board, and then we will get back to you and include your feedback through that source. And let me introduce Deputy Director of Deputy City Manager Nikki Mastey of Internal Services.
Thank you, Mubin. This is our Nikki Mastey, Deputy City Manager of Internal Services, which encompasses human resources, finance, IT, and other duties as assigned. Our overview tonight is the org chart, financial highlights, purpose of the budget, fiscal year 25-26 budget goals, our budget process, general fund revenues and expenditures, non-general fund revenues and expenditures, and then we will close. Our organizational chart, as you can see, the people of Richmond elect the mayor and city council. From there, the council has direct reports. That would be the city attorney, the city manager, and the city clerk, and then there are the departments underneath. I will now hand it off to Andrea Miller, our finance director.
Thank you, Nikki. Good evening, everyone. Andrea Miller, Director of Finance. And I'll touch on some of our key financial highlights here at the City of Richmond, starting with our credit rating. The city improved its credit rating with Moody's to A2. The importance of the city having a good credit rating, it's like our personal credit score so that we can reduce our borrowing costs and when we issue debt and things of that sort. In addition, our general fund reserve, we increased the minimum policy target level to 21% of the expenditures for general fund, and that's really good. This shows that we're able to sustain operations should we experience economic shortfalls. With our grants, the city currently has about $280 million in grants from various agencies. That includes federal, state, and local grants. With federal in particular, we have about $62 million of grants federal-wise. With our pension and OPEB pre-funding, the city has established Section 115 trusts to pre-fund its unfunded accrued liability for pension as well as the other post-employment benefits, which is what OPEB is the acronym for the city's retirement benefits. And as it relates to the state audit, in 2022, the city underwent a state audit, and there were 11 state audit recommendations identified. The city reports twice per year on the status of making progress on those findings, and we've completed and implemented all 11 of the state audit recommendations. The purpose of the budget focuses primarily on 4 key components. It's a policy document. If you go to the city's website and look at our budget online, you'll see either in detail or a highlight of the key financial policies that the city has that guides our financial processes here. It's also a financial plan for the current year as well as long-term, 5 years on average, for our operating and capital improvement budget. It's an operations guide. You can look in there and get a lot of key information about how our city is organized. Nikki Mastey showed the organization chart a few slides ago, so it gives you an idea of how the city operates, as well as a communication device. In the city's budget, it includes the city council's strategic goals, for example, so it is a communication device. And with that, I will pass it back to Mubin.
Before we move on to the next part of the presentation, I just want to do a test on the energy level. On a scale of 1 to 10, are we like 5, 10 being the high? Really? Great. It sounds like it's like 8, right? Great, awesome. Oh, all right. Okay, so the request is to move through the presentation as soon as possible. So that's at least one suggestion. So not too fast. Okay, just a happy medium on a scale of 1 to 10, 5. Okay, good. So that's my natural speed, so I'll just be myself. So this slide is actually, we added after the last presentation because there is an exercise right after that we'll be conducting, and this will be very helpful. So the City Council has adopted these 6 strategic goal areas collectively back in 2023. Number 1 is improve quantity and quality of housing, especially low-income housing, and reduce homelessness. Number 2 is increase revenue and improve economic development. And number 3 is improve the quality of life and community health and health/improve social determinants of health. Improve public safety, strengthen the city's internal infrastructure and process. And number 6, address shoreline issues and ecological sustainability. And the next slide, we have created a tool, a community engagement tool to get feedback from the community. And here is the QR code for English and the Spanish version of those tools. And I will be demonstrating like what this tool does. I'm going to need some participants from the audience to make that a successful demonstration. So if you want to take a picture of this QR code, go ahead. Otherwise, Finance Department's community budget meeting webpage also has a link to this tool. All right, so when you click on that QR code, you will come to this web page, which lists the top, the 6 strategic goal areas of the city, and you will be basically prioritizing, looking at those strategic goal areas, and you will be given an opportunity to prioritize. Like there are total 6 areas, and then there are several sub goals within each category. But we have so many things that we have to do, but we can do only so much, and we have to make hard decisions. Like we have to prioritize, like on every single, I think turn of life. There are so many decision points in a day that we come across, and we have to pick and choose and prioritize based on our resources, capacity, and ability. And this is just demonstration of that exercise, which as budget in public finance individuals and the public administrators, we have to go through that exercise every day in every budget process, in every area of community service that we engage, because there is so much need, but we have to determine and prioritize and go through these exercises every day. So this is just a glimpse, and also getting a feedback from community. What is it that's your priority as a community member? So it'll be very helpful for the council and the city administration to find out. So please go ahead and fill out this survey or use this tool to provide the feedback. So getting past this window, you would do continue. And there is a question if you're resident or not. I'm clicking yes, not because I'm picking to do. I am actually a resident of City of Richmond. And great. So here is the list of those strategic goals. You can actually have them list like in a list form of large icons or small icons. And I like in a list format. And if you click on the strategic goal area 1, it will only focus on the sub goals in that strategic goal area: improve quality and quality of housing, especially low-income housing, and reduce homelessness. So if at this point I can, pick like one volunteer. There you go. There is a mic, which if you would. So the first sub-goal in the goal area 1 is 1.1, increase housing access, especially infill development, avoid shoreline. And 1.2 is reduce homelessness. And 1.3 is increase housing quality. So first of all, let me know which goal area would you like to select?
Of those 3 under 1, let's see, reduce, increase housing access, yes.
So 1.1. So I'm
yes.
going to click on this select button, And if you see up there, it says selected 1, and 4 slots are still available. So for the second slot, and also please note there is this message box. If you want to give your feedback or any comment, you can go ahead and click on that and save your comment here. Let's say if there is not enough description or it's not exactly how you want it, you can actually add your comment there for the city administration and the council to know. So yes, what would be your second choice?
Under 2, let's see.
Under 2, we
create
have
new opportunities
2.1, create new
workforce
opportunities for workforce development in
Small and
Richmond.
new businesses.
2.2, revitalize, attract, and maintain existing small and new businesses. 2.3 is create and or re-envision infrastructure to attract new business and retail, manufacturing infill development, and new customers for existing Richmond businesses. 2.4 is research new progressive taxes. 2.5 is revitalization of the port. Which one?
Hard choice between 2.3 and 2.5, since I have a vested interest in the port with the Red Oak Victory. But I think for the city as a whole, 2.3 seems a better priority.
2.3, create new or re-envision infrastructure to attract new businesses, and we will select that one. And at this point, I'm gonna ask the other audience members if they would like to participate. Somebody else? There you go. Would you please introduce yourself?
Michael Glickson.
Great.
Live in Richmond.
Perfect. So which strategic goal area would you like to go with? 1 is improve quality and quantity of housing. 2, increase revenue. And there are other. Number 3 is improve the quality of life and community health.
Let's go with that one. Number 3.
Perfect. Number 3. Great. So under 3 strategic goal area number, there is 3.1, which is improve maintenance of built environment, parks, and new recreation infrastructure. 3.2 is create new infrastructure. 3.3 is implement transformative climate communities, TCC grant. Yes.
I would go with 3.1.
3.1, which is improve maintenance of built environment, parks, and new recreation infrastructure selected.
Okay.
So there are still 2 slots available. Would you- Number 4 is improve public safety. Number 5 is strengthen the city's internal infrastructure and processes. And number 6 is address shoreline issues and ecological sustainability.
Let's go with number 6, please.
Number 6. All right. So under number 6, the subcategory 6.1 is reduce. 6.2 is listed above 6.1. It says reduce local hazards. 6.1 is develop a shoreline resiliency plan with inventory of contaminated sites.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that one.
Oh, the 6.1, which is develop shoreline. Great. And there's one more slide. Is there any other participant that would like to? If not, then we can go with the gentleman that we were, if you are willing to continue to play. Anybody? We really don't charge to participate here.
Maybe I'll do 5.
Which goal?
The goal, yeah, the goal about internal infrastructure and processes.
Yes.
Perfect. So that is strategic goal number 5, strengthen the city's internal infrastructure and processes. Under that, we have 5.1, ensure that there is the right staffing level and experience to meet service goals of acting of each city department. 5.2 is improve fiscal responsibility. 5.3 is improve and modernize city information technology. 5.4, ensure all city staff receive performance evaluations.
Those are those 4.
I can only pick one?
Yes, but only one
Okay.
slot is left.
Well, having worked for another city that never had the right amount of staff,
All right. So
I would say 5.1.
5.1.
Yes.
Perfect. Great. So now that we have selected all the 5 options that we could go, Now, there is a little box here where, you have the opportunity to prioritize. So right now, number one is increase housing access, especially infill development, avoid shoreline. On number two is 2.3, create and or re-envision infrastructure. Number three is improve maintenance of built environment. And number four is develop a shoreline resiliency plan. And number five is ensure that there's right staffing level. So what is the top priority, like on 1 through 5? Like, I mean, which one do you, as an individual community member, if you were filling out this form, you will have to prioritize these options to really help and guide the city administration in making a decision. Yes, go ahead.
One of these, now that we've gotten these 5, we're going to the 1.
No, we're not saying we're going with the 1. We're prioritizing them. Like on a scale of 1 to 5, what's your top one? What's the second one? What's the third, fourth, and fifth?
So we're ordering them.
We're ordering them based on priority. So we don't have to do that right now because this is only exercise and there's like, a mix of like different individuals' feedback. So this is only for demonstration purposes. So I just needed to demonstrate the tool and the opportunity that's out there. This is not actually going to be submitted because there are live people that are, participating right now. I don't want to impact the results and the data collection on that end. So this is one demonstration completed. Technically, here is a stop for a joke, but I couldn't think of any. So we'll keep going. So what are the goals of fiscal year 25-26 budget process? It has to be structurally balanced. What does that mean is like city's ongoing recurring operating expenditures should be equal to or less than the ongoing operating revenues, general fund revenues. So we could not, be like basically promising to expend monies more in the general fund that we know that will be coming in based on our estimates. So like that's called structurally balanced budget. And then also through that process, it's also a decision point to evaluating the service levels. Like, do we need to reprioritize the exercise that we did before based on the usage, based on the need in the community, based on the resources available. So all that reevaluation of the service levels in all areas is happening at this point in time. Also, the city deserves investment in the built environment, meaning the city's parks, city's facilities, roads, sidewalks, recreation centers, swimming pools. They all deserve investment and maintenance. So that's also one of the goals of the city's budget. Fiscal sustainability is a very important one. We have to maintain that in order to keep the services going, in order to keep our community receiving the services that they're well deserving. Maintain bond rating. Believe it or not, city has a credit rating. It's like your credit score. So city's credit score is very important. That is, if we make prudent and right fiscal decisions, that helps the city maintain its credit score, meaning credit rating. That means the city could potentially have access to low-cost capital in case if they need it. Like if they needed to borrow money for some project, let's say to build this park, to build this community center, for example, hypothetical. I'm not promising anything, believe me. Even if I do, I would be lying, okay? So this is just hypothetical exercise. So if we needed to access capital to build this community center or a stadium for like Warriors or Raiders, let's just assume, So we would have access to more affordable loans and bonds and interest rates. So that's very prudent. So the budget process so far, we did the first step in the annual budget development is by collecting input from all departments from the city. We did start around January of this year when we made such presentation to departments and gave them directions in the process, like how they would enter the budget. And then the budget was reviewed by the finance department, and there were like several internal meetings between the finance department, city manager's office, deputy city manager's office, and the other departments. And the budgets were reviewed, and a lot of meaningful, deep discussions around the service levels and the resources. And then now this is the public feedback through the public community meetings that we are going through that. This is the third and final series meeting in that series. We had one earlier on April 10th. There was last week in Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council meeting we presented, and now this is the final meeting. And we are collecting the feedback also through those online tools that I just demonstrated, and there is another one coming in later in the presentation. And finally, the final decision is actually about the budget is made by the city council. So that will be happening from May through June. There will be several discussions during open sessions during council meetings, and council will be making the ultimate decision. So these are the key dates. I just went through those in the previous slide. And as you see, we started on January 23rd. Then we departments entered the budget from January 23rd through February 16th. And then budget hearings where the finance department and the departments in the city manager's office met and discussed their individual departments' budgets. And we also met with unions on March 27th. And then community budget meetings April 10th, 14th, and 23rd. And the first draft to the council will be going on May 6th, and then study session at the city council will be on June 3rd. Then budget checklist will be discussed on June 17th, and approval of the budget for 25-26 is anticipated on June 24th. I will welcome a handover to Antonio Benuelos.
Thank you very much, Mubin. Good evening. My name is Antonio Banuelos. I'm the accounting manager over the revenue team or division in the finance department. Oops. Here we're looking at the general fund revenue. This is the general fund. This is one that pays for most of the services we're familiar with. And these revenues for current year 24-25 total to close to $249 million. The top three revenue streams, historically, property tax, sales tax, and use tax, they've always been the top three. Currently, they total about $180 million, which is about 72% of the general fund. A few years back, about 7 years ago, there was actually closer to 80%. But we've had a couple of ballot measures approved by the voters. In 2018, voters approved the documentary transfer tax, which is included in the other taxes. And in 2020, they approved Measure U, which is the license and permits, so business tax. So that's actually diversified the revenue tax base. Again, prior, about 8 years ago, it was about 80%. Now the top three, even still very important, but it's about 72% of the general fund revenue. Now, if you count property tax, sales tax, UUT, other taxes, and licenses, that's about close to 90% of the current general fund budget. So most of the revenue goes into those revenue streams. Let's get a little bit into the detail. Here, we're talking about the 1% property tax distribution. So if you look at your property tax bill, you see it's a large tax bill. If you have a property that the county values at $500,000, the property tax part that's based on the valuation, it's called the 1% AV, you'll get charged about $5,000 per year. But that doesn't necessarily come to the city of Richmond. We get about $1,400 of that 1%. So most of it goes to school district, the county, to BART, to a bunch of other agencies. City of Richmond gets a share, but it's a relatively small amount. Sales tax. Current sales tax in Richmond is 9.75%. Again, most of it does not come to the city of Richmond. Most of it goes to the state, again, to BART, to the county, to other agencies. We get, of the 9.75%, we get about 2%, 1%, which is a typical Bradley Burns sales tax that every city gets, and we have 2 half-cent measures that were approved by the voters, so a total of 2% of that 9.75. The last major revenue stream is the utility user tax. Here we have different rates. For telecommunications, for your cell phones, for example, for your home landline, if you still have it, is 9.5%. For your cable bill, it's 5%, and for your PG&E or MCE bill, that's 10%. Unlike the other two revenue streams, we get 100% of this. So whatever you pay in UUT, whatever any company pays in UUT, comes directly to the city of Richmond 100%. So that's what makes that one a little bit more important. And with that, I'll hand it back to Mubin. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Technically, this is another break for a joke, but my boss didn't approve that. So she said, if you told that joke, I'm going to tell I didn't authorize that. So it's her fault. All right. So like general fund expenditures. So in 24-25 revised budget, the total budget is about $248 million. That was the original budget. And if you look at the categories, the top category, the top heavy, which is about $95.2 million, is the personnel cost, which is salaries and wages. That's the staffing. That's where your firemen, your police, and your public works staff and all the staff that is hired, that's where their wages are. And then after that, there's the fringe benefits, which is like the benefits that come with along with the job, like their taxes, their insurance, healthcare cost, and their retirement costs, and all that is in that category. That is the second biggest category. $70.6 million budget is in there. Then there is professional services and other operating and all the other operational costs, the contracts with the construction organizations or with the nonprofits, and for the service providers that where city has to procure their services and have to contract with the other businesses to deliver the services and the supplies and everything else. So that's where that budget is about $30 million. Then there is utilities cost, that is city's gas and electric PG&E cost, basically. Not just that, but all the other utilities. I don't want to flag PG&E solely. There are other agencies, gas or water and all those. Internet. Then there is cost pool. So cost pool is the title is sort of like, like not very self-explanatory. So we have to explain it. I would like to try to explain it a little bit better. Cost pool is basically where various elements of city's overhead is tracked. Like, for example, city has insurance. Right. So the city, when the city pays insurance bill, it has to charge all departments and across all funds just to basically track their actual costs of doing business. So like insurance cost, the departments don't have any discretion, but that means it still is part of the service delivery cost, right? So that's where that is tracked. And then also, like, for example, city needs to buy a vehicle. So like not every department is in charge of buying vehicles, right? So like there is one department which buys vehicles, but they collect money from other departments. They charge money to departments and then they buy the vehicle. It's like collecting lunch money. Like I'm going to buy lunch. Hey, I'll take $20 from Antonio, $20 for Andrea, and then I collect that money and then buy the lunch for them, bring them the lunch. So cost pool also has costs of that. And then there's also, like, for example, departments. Not each department has their own finance department or payroll department or IT department, right? So like city has those departments, and cost of those, HR, finance, and IT, I'm using those departments just as an example. To those departments, for example, public works or planning and division, planning and building, and code enforcement, and all those, areas, wastewater or stormwater, those areas, they are using those HR, finance, and IT services, right? They need those. So that's where their overhead cost is recorded in that area as well. And also the city has mortgage. The Civic Center has its mortgage, its debt service. So and all these departments are charged with the rent to basically pay for that debt service, pay for that mortgage. So that cost pool is it's a fully loaded area, and there's not one simple answer to that. But the very layman term would be it's the overhead basically for the departments, for the city's overhead to the other to do its services. I hope it answered in a way. If not, please come give me a call. Find my number on city's website. I'll be happy to meet. Then there is also debt service. There are some capital leases. For example, it could be fire truck that we did a capital lease and we're paying installments. It's like buying a car and then paying car note. In this situation, to that, then capital outlay, certain expenditures that are categorized as capital. For example, if we're repairing this building and it adds value and capacity in that building's lifetime, so that is considered as capital expense, and that is tracked here in this category. And then transfers out is actually general funds, a subsidy to other programs, like, for example, employment and training, which is a program that is mainly funded by grants, but not all of the expenditures are covered by those grants. There are costs that are not covered by the grants, and that's where general fund subsidizes that program. And employment and training is not the only program. Like, there are other programs, like transportation also gets a subsidy, and several of the programs wherever there is a gap in providing service, and general fund general fund does cover those, and that's where transfers out is to regard for those. This is same data, but different format. It shows that 38% of the total general fund expenditures are salaries and wages. Then fringe benefits, which I explained earlier, are 28%. Then there are 12% professional services and other operating. Then there is cost pool, which is the overhead. And then transfers out subsidies to other programs and departments. And then that's in the capital outlay, and utilities are smaller percentages. Here is the use of general fund revenues, which is also how the revenues that are collected, how are those expended by program, by the function. And we see that public safety police is the 35% expenditure of the total general fund, and then 18% is fire. And then public works is 15%, community services is 6%, economic development is 2%, and internal services, which is HR, finance, and IT, are 6%, and general government is like the other departments such as city attorney's office, city clerk's office, city council's office, city manager's office. Those type of departments are considered governmental, and non-departmental is like, those expenditures which are citywide. For example, transfers out would be recorded in the non-departmental because that is a citywide function that serves all the other departments. There is not like one department to host those transfers out, so that would be in the non-departmental. And the chart on the side, on the left side, just provides a breakdown what's in the general government, what's in internal service, community development, community services, and economic development. And you see that community services has recreation, library, and transportation, and we're talking only the general fund area here. So there you go. So this is the strategic goal areas again. Another reminder, I just want to ask a question. My speed is okay, ma'am? Okay, good, great. Just wanted to check in if I was going too slow or too fast. So again, we're about to enter into the next exercise demonstration. So this is, again, a reminder of all the strategic goal areas. One is improve quantity and quality of housing, especially low-income housing, and reduce homelessness, increase revenue and improve economic development, improve the quality of life and community health, improve social determinants of health. Number 4 is improve public safety. Number 5 is strengthen the city's internal infrastructure and processes. And number 6 is address shoreline issues and ecological sustainability. There you go. So here is the QR codes to the budget simulation tool. And I love this part of the demonstration. This is my favorite. And once you click on that, and I'll tell you why. I have a reason why this is my favorite. So again, once you click on that QR code and get to this website, there will be this message and reminder about the strategic goal areas. Once you continue and you answer the question, yes, continue. You have a surplus of $10 million. Nobody ever told me that. This is the first time in my life who told me that I had $10 million to expend. So isn't it exciting, right? So like, yeah, we have $10 million right now, hypothetically, to expend, to allocate to different programs, to those strategic goal areas that the city has put forward and approved. Isn't it exciting? I don't know what else would be exciting. Yes? Absolutely. So like, I mean, we worked, finance department and the city manager's office worked really hard to put this forward, and we're really proud of it. There is a question. Sure. So I guess like, would you want to participate in the exercise?
After my question.
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
So the total budget is 250 million, but we only have 10 million to spend. Is the 10 million from the general budget, or where is that slice coming from?
So this is
Oh, it's
just
hypothetical?
demonstration. We're just, okay, so like in the budget development
Got it.
process, so this is not real, this is not the actual allocation of the budget. So we're just trying to demonstrate and also trying to get public's input. What would be your top priority in allocating the $10 million? That's one. And also, not that we have actual $10 million sitting somewhere to be allocated. It's an exercise.
Got
And
it.
also, like, we also want to demonstrate to the audience and to the public that there is only so much resources and there is so much need in the community, right? So like, you never have unlimited money to spend to whatever you want. So this is the exercise that the city management goes through when they're allocating that $250 million, right? So now this amount of 10 million is just hypothetical, right? It's just the exercise purposes. So now we have to allocate this $10 million. Go ahead, the second question.
Well, coincidentally, we Chevron made an agreement with the city that comes to 10 million a year.
No, it's 50 million.
It's
50 million and then 60.
for,
50 for 5, 60 for 5,
Okay.
950.
okay, so it's not this amount. Okay, that was where I was wondering, because I know that there's been discussion of how that money will be used, but that's something I guess the city council's going to figure out. Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
So like this tool is to collect community feedback, like what is their top priorities and how would they actually use if they had X amount of dollar, right? So this exercise could be done with like any number of dollars, because it's just exercise to engage what the community is wanting to do with their budget. So here I would need like a volunteer to basically, who would get $2 million to allocate among these strategic goal areas and priorities. Anybody interested? Yay, we have a gentleman who raised hand before you, then we'll come to you, okay?
Oh, no, I'm
I
sorry.
thought it was ladies first.
I'll tell you. Okay. Absolutely. I would say strengthen cities, number 5, strengthen the cities.
Number 5, so when
Yeah,
you click
internal.
on that, it will open up the sub goals. You will have, you still have to make a pick, sir.
5.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, oh, you said 5? Oh,
I
I
said
thought you
area
said
5.
fine. Okay,
no,
sorry
5.
about that. Okay, I
But now I have
misheard.
to allocate it.
So you can allocate, up to $2 million. I'm giving you, when you're doing on your own, you will have $10 million to allocate, but right now we
I have
want to
2.
share the experience.
Right. So across those 4,
Yes.
I'm going to do my 2 million.
You can do one. I pick one from here and then one in another area. There is no like limitation on that. Tough choices. So 5.1 is ensure that there is the
right.
right staffing level. 5.2, improve fiscal responsibility. 5.3, improve and modernize city information technology.
Yeah, I'll go with number 3, 5.3.
5.3, perfect. 1 million or 2 million? You want all
Oh, I
your...
see, my plus, put 1 million there.
Uh-huh.
Is my other million gonna be under 5.5, or do I?
You
go
can
back
you
out?
can get pick any choice.
Okay,
any
so
of
I'm
the
gonna put 1 million there and then back out
Uh-huh.
to a strategic goal. 3, improve quality of life and community health, improve social determinants.
There you go. Yes, and there's 3.1, improve maintenance of built environment, parks, and new recreation infrastructure. 3.2, create new infrastructure. And 3.3, implement transformative climate communities grant.
3.1.
3.1, 1 million goes there.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So we're good. So let's go to the next participant.
I'm not hitting submit yet.
You can fill out the whole survey. You can
when
do
I-
that.
when I do
It's.
it.
I'm
Okay,
not
got
going to
it.
submit it because it's a collective decision, not one individual. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to choose number 2.
Number 2, which is increase revenue and improve economic development.
Yes.
And there are several options. 2.1 is create new opportunities for workforce development in Richmond. And then 2.2, revitalize, attract, and maintain existing small and new businesses. 2.3 is create and or re-envision infrastructure to attract new business and retail, manufacturing infill developments, and new customers for existing Richmond businesses. Then 2.4 is research new progressive taxes. And then 2.5, revitalization of the port.
Yes. So I'd like to allocate $1 million to 0.3.
2.3, right?
Yes, 2.3.
Uh-huh.
And then another to 2.5.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your 2 millions. Yes. Any other participants? Yes,
I
there
just
is.
have a general question regarding
You can do
these subcategories. Is there any sort of an analysis or city scan that's done that would help support the decision whether to do a 2.3 or a 5.1? In other words, does the city have a sense of itself in terms of demographics, possibilities, and businesses, and so forth that would support a rational allocation of funds?
Okay, so like these strategic goal areas and objectives are result of several city council meetings, working sessions with a facilitator, and the council themselves put forward these strategic goal areas. So now how the city is conducting their business and serving service levels, they all, one way or another, do roll up to one of these strategic goals and areas and objectives. So now I don't think if I have an answer to your question, like how much exactly dollar value is to each.
That's not a question, but you can go on.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Great question, though. Any other participant? There you go. We have a participant.
Can I put my 2 million in places where people have already put money?
Sure.
Oh, good. Okay. I want number 3, please.
Uh-huh.
And 3.1, 1 million there.
Uh-huh.
And go back to number 2. And 1 million on 2.3.
2.3.
Yes.
Perfect. Any other participant? We still got $4 million left on the table. Virtual dollars on virtual table. No real money here. I'm just clarifying.
I'll do goal 3. And yes, goal 3. And
Yes. And
I will do 3.3, 1 million there.
great.
And then I will do, I think it's goal 1, housing.
Housing, okay. Let's go to housing. Yes.
That's goal 2.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
I'm supposed to know numbers.
And I will do 1.1. That one's hard. 1.1.
Great. Any other participant? There is no consequences. There's no right or wrong answer for. Oh, we have $2 million. There's yeah. So you will have a running net at the top, just a tool. See, it says like 2 million, still $2 million. There you go.
More money in housing.
More money in housing.
Yeah.
That is
Throw number 1.
1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same one, 1.1. We'll put
1.1.
a million there.
And the second million.
The second million go back to the number 2.
Number 2, that
Yeah.
is increased revenue. Yes. And
And create new opportunities for workforce development.
there you go.
Yeah.
Great,
jobs.
awesome. So you see, you are balanced. So the budget is balanced. So like, believe it or not, you guys did like actually what we do in this process of budget development. We have a certain amount of dollar, and there are certain programs, then we have to allocate, and we have to stay within our means, which is the general fund revenue. And I guess like as an individuals, we go through that every day. Like we have to. Go ahead. There's a question.
At what point is the data from this analyzed by, I guess, finance or council? And how much before it goes to the final budget? Or, what's the process of analyzing community input?
Absolutely. Great question. So the portal will be open until the end of April. And the first draft budget is going to the council on May 6th. So that's when the data collection will be presented to the city council. I'm not sure if we'll be analyzing it, but we'll be presenting the data collection in a meaningful format. For example, like these are the strategic goal areas, and this is how respondents responded to, which are the top, which are the not top. And all that type of presentation will be made to the city council. And that is the first time when the budget sees the council draft budget, and that is when they will see the output, the result of these tools. And yes, and the budget will be adopted by the end of June, on June 24th, potentially. So there is, I would say, a little 6 to 8 weeks, or 6 to 7 weeks. Yes, so there you go. So let me start presentation again.
Mubin, just a reminder for the participants, if the input that you gave was a demonstration only, you still have that $10 million to allocate on your own app.
Can you give us the second QR code?
It was presented, it's back-to-back printout.
On different sides.
There you go. We have this tool. And then also, if at any point in time you need guidance or assistance in locating the tool, just give us a call. The flyer about the community budget meeting, you can give the call to that number, and we'll be happy to walk you through. There's more question?
Yeah, I have a question about, I'm assuming there's some sort of automatic analysis that's done as people go to the website. Is there a way to determine whether or not the people that are going to the website are actually representative of the city?
So we are collecting we are asking for the information, but I'm not sure if I can guarantee you that the collection is like 100% scientific, because we did not recruit any social scientists to basically assure us the authenticity of the data collection. It's not very scientific. I can't guarantee you that. There's another question.
The survey does give option for participants to identify if they are residents.
Right,
So
what I'm getting at is if you have access and you have the ability to go the website, then you can give your feedback. What if you don't have that? Then you can't give your feedback.
If you don't have website, so how do you give the feedback?
Is there a facility that allows people that don't have this, the ability to give that same sort of distributive feedback?
Understood. So, but how I'm understanding is like, so in that case, we do have city council meetings when the budget will be discussed. And the open session will be, there is really like public speaking for each agenda item. That is another venue where the residents and the citizens can actually express their comments and their priorities. I'm being rescued right now. Go ahead.
I would just add, great question. This is a new tool. We try to maximize technology as it becomes available to us. I know over a decade ago when I first served as the budget administrator, we went out to the community. We didn't have these wonderful tools, but we also have, for your use, for those who are non-tech savvy, you can give your input this evening. We have giant sticky paper posted around the council chamber with markers, so you can even give your input there on what you consider the council's 6 priority areas, what you think are the most important. We are going to compile all this data, as Mubina stated, and include it in our budget presentation to the council on May 6th. So there's non-technology ways you can give your input, and as well as your responses this evening. We are taking notes, we are hearing your questions, and so we want you to know you're heard, and your input will be compiled and presented to the council as a whole. Did that kind of answer your question? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure, yes, by all means, offline we can, sure.
But thank you so much. Your participation is appreciated. There is your question, can your question wait until the end, or does it have to be about this? Great. Okay, so let's come back to the question at the end of the meeting. And I'm really appreciating and loving the participation level from the audience. Yes, so now we'll talk about, city just does not have only general fund. There are like other non-general fund, other funds also which are called non-general funds. So like there are different roll-ups for those. Capital improvement funds, debt service funds, enterprise funds. So all these categorizations are under like governmental accounting codes. So we have to legally be like tracking these monies in certain pots of money, which are called funds. And we have to track under those funds, and each fund has its own specific requirement in terms of like where those can be expended. And it's basically legally required for us to track these expenditures in these categories or type of funds. So like overall non-general fund revised budget is for 24-25 about $258 million, and as of Q1, we had about $39.8 million expended, which was 15%. So like this is just a glimpse of how the budget allocation in these funds is, not so much about the actuals or available budget or percentage use. So this is the graphical pie chart presentation of the same data that we saw in the previous slide. The capital improvement funds at 26% of the total non-general funds. And then there are special revenue funds. So these are like technical categorizations. If you are interested in learning more about these, please contact us and we will be happy to explain. This chart shows the non-general fund expenditures, total non-general fund expenditures, revised budget for the 24-25 as of Q1 was $378.4 million. And again, some of the large categories are capital improvement funds, $91.6 million, and enterprise funds, $78.9 million. I'm just naming the larger ones in here. And then special revenue funds, $101 million. And internal service funds, which is $45.8 million. Again, if there are any questions or concerns about what's behind these, we're happy to walk you through offline, because it could be very deep and very boring, believe me, if I started going under each. Yes, and then here is non-general fund expenditures. Again, the same data, but in a different graphical presentation. It's pretty much same information. And it also shows, again, capital improvement is 24% of the total, special revenue 27%, enterprise fund is 21%. Well, I mean, this slide should have been taken out and it didn't. I apologize for that. The reason is at this point, in the last presentation, we showed the results of the simulation that we just had. At this point, we're not doing that because at that time, the tool wasn't live and the data collected was only what we collected in this exercise. And that was the true reflection of the audience input. Right now, like there is live data being collected at this moment throughout the community, and we just don't want to show like who's winning in the layman terms. So these are some of the upcoming events. I just find Richmond is one of the most happening places, like for all the good reasons. We have so many events, such a diverse and thriving community. Like there's so many flavors. I just don't think I have enough time to experience all of those, but there's always something good. The community has something positive going on. City's Community Services Department, the Public Works Department, and all the other departments, including finance, does a hard work in providing and maintaining these services. So some of these events are Park RX Day, which is this Saturday, April 26th, the Nickel Park, and then there is Cinco de Mayo on Sunday, May 4th. And then there is a Senior Information and Health Fair on Wednesday, May 21st. So these are some of the upcoming events. Here we thank you for your attendance. And now the question and answer segment, we're entering in that. And again, reminder, depending on the participation and the time limitation, there may be a 2-minute limitation for the comment for online speakers and for in-house speakers. And also, if you're not comfortable speaking on the mic or or online on Zoom, please you can go ahead and write your comments in the chat box in Zoom. And if you're in-house, you can use that notepad and document or notate your comments or questions. We'll make sure that your comments are included in our report to the City Council. We're open for questions. Any questions? There is a question, Avanish.
Thank you. So the 6 priority areas, and then there were the subcategories. How are those subcategories ranked? I mean, who decides what's more a higher priority? And does anybody lobby the city to try to say, no, my program should be higher up in a priority?
So I would say, like, that's a great question. But since the list came from the City Council's working session, they worked with the facilitator to develop those strategic goal areas and objectives. As a staff, we can't answer how they were ranked or if they are ranked or not ranked, right? Okay. So that is a very good question, like, for the elected.
But when you're allocating money, I mean, if in fact those are priorities, but they're not budget line those aren't budget lines. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then but we are asking the community to help us collect that kind of information, like
where the priorities
what does
are.
the community think? What's important to them? Any other? Oh, there is another question, Avanish. There's.
So there was mention at the very beginning of $52 million in grants from the federal government. And as we are all too aware, the processes there are very opaque, and that I'm being generous. And there is no great love for California. And I'm wondering, when this was done in January, if that was sort of taken into account, because at that point, if it was before January 20th, we didn't really, I don't know. I'm just kind of curious about how that's only $52 million of a much bigger budget, but it is $52 million.
Mm-hmm. Yes, go ahead.
So I know that there is an effort on the county level to start using some reserves so that the services can still be, particularly for marginalized communities and people who really depend on some federal programs, that they're considering going into reserves, which they're, never, I mean, I may be speaking poorly for them, but, it's part of the discussion. Yeah, so I'm wondering what's happening here on that in this city.
Great question. I'm so glad you brought this up. Just yesterday evening, I presented to the City Council the mid-year budget review, and during that time, it's actually 62 million, just a little over 62 million in federal grants alone, which are potentially at risk because of so many things we see coming out of Washington, D.C. And California in particular is at risk because, some of the things, this week, I mean, we're literally monitoring the news on a daily basis to see what's happening next. Sanctuary cities are at risk, for example. So we are, for that reason, proceeding cautiously. Our mid-year review did not include any mid-year adjustments for general fund, which is unusual. I've been with the city a cumulative 10 years and never seen that happen. So we are being cautious. We are maintaining our reserves for this very reason, because there's the potential there that if we lose those federal funds, we may have to further subsidize those federally funded programs. Yeah.
And the state may lose the money that would come to us through the state. So, okay, thanks for answering that.
You're welcome.
It's good to hear. Really good.
That's the benefit of having a great boss. They rescue you and they need to. Totally. I'm saving for the last. Any other questions? Any online participants? Bert, Fred?
Yes, we have about 10 questions, and we answered 7 of them already, so I'm going to read the 3 that need answers. And this is from Robin Lopez, and their question is, will data from community submissions of prioritization tool be publicly available for us to see what fellow community members prioritize for our budget?
It will be included in our report to the City Council on May 6th, so yes. Through the City Council meeting, yes, it will be available for public.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Ahmad Anderson. What is the plan to address the unfunded liabilities, and is the Chevron revenue considered revenue?
Chevron funds are a revenue. That is the answer. And about the UAL, which is the unfunded actuarial liability, the city continues to work with the council in terms of acting fiscally prudent manner. So that is, the city does have a pension funding policy in place, which is, we continue to pre-fund those pensions based on that policy. Any further action will be done through council's approval, if there was any change to that policy.
Okay, thank you for that answer. The last question is from Amy Zhu, and the question reads, this is a while back, but could we get a bit more information about how TCC funds would be implemented if selected?
If I'm understanding, TCC is a transformative community. Let's check online. Transformative climate community, number 6. Yes, Transformative Climate Communities Grant. So there is, so the grant itself, TCC grant, does have a web page, and there are several programs that are being executed or designed and implemented under that. We can definitely guide show the audience or the attendees more towards that web page, but there is a city does have a web page on that particular grant. And there are several programs. I may not be able to list all those programs. So, Avanish, question. Any other question online, Bert?
Yes, we have Lena Velasco that may be able to answer more to that
Yes.
TCC.
Yes.
Go ahead, Lena.
Hi, everyone. As far as the Transformative Climate Communities grant, it is a state grant, so it's not affected by federal dollars. The city has already entered into contracts with community partners to do the work, and so as we complete milestones, we may identify unfunded, just given the cost of construction, and those will be seeking some additional outside funding to close any gaps, and if needed, we'll present those to the council for consideration.
Okay, thank you, Lena. Now we have another caller from Gail's iPhone. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you so much. My name is Gael. I just wanted to say I have a similar concern to the gentleman in the room about getting community feedback. I don't know if this is what he was trying to express, but I think it's really great that the finance department has a space here tonight. But like, I wonder the folks that we're not reaching out to, and again, like how can we get feedback from all sorts of demographics? I know that when it comes to city council or city meetings like this, people have to come to the city. But I just wonder in the future if there are ways the city can come to the people and get more people involved. Also, like this time is really hard for folks who are working and things. So I just wanted to throw my hat. I don't have a question. I guess my only question is the non-general expenditure funds. Like I know we can't talk about in depth, but is that what encapsulates like the other federal grants and things? Because the general fund breakdown seems pretty clear, but I just don't really understand the revenues for that. So I think that's my main question. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So those non-general funds, those grant funds are in those, embedded in those categories in different areas. Like, for example, employment and training is part of the special revenue fund, so that would be there, which has a lot of like federal funding, and so is outside funded services, which is also special revenue fund, where we track most of the grants. That's where those are. And yes, so you are absolutely correct. Those federal grants would be embedded in those funds, in those non-general fund categories. And as far as the question regarding different ways of collecting the feedback, we totally hear your concern. And also, we're totally open to suggestions and comments if there are any. You can definitely use the chat box, or you can also, when you're filling out the survey, you can drop your comment in there, your suggestion in there, the comment section as well. If there is a venue, if there is a way that we can use to enhance our engagement, we're totally welcome that. But thank you so much for your question and comment and suggestion.
Thank you for the time.
Great. Have a great evening.
Okay, we have 2 more questions. One from Amy Zhu. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi. Sorry, I was also the one who asked about TCC funds, so I appreciate some of the clarification. It was more just because I know that has been implemented a variety of different ways, including on housing and in some other parts of California. I just wanted to get a little bit more specificity around that. And I also just wanted to echo, I think, what the previous speaker and the other person in the room said is like, I am very hopeful that there are other opportunities of going directly to community events, to convenings, or to other organizations where folks who might not necessarily speak English as well are able to actually get the information from that is being presented today. And then the other thing, I already asked my question in the comments, but I think just the comment that I was giving or wanted to think about was around the housing part of it. I think this is implicit in some of the 1.1 or like the 1.3, 1.2, but I hope there's also emphasis on really improving the quality of existing housing. And like I said, this is already implicit in some of the things said here, but really improving the housing of folks who are living here already and not focusing all the time, I think, purely on development, on ensuring that tenants and folks who might not necessarily have the amount of housing mobility are still living in like good quality housing, regardless of what they're able to afford. But that was just like an additional comment I felt was important to give. But thank you for the time and for the jokes.
You're welcome. Wait until my boss approves my jokes. Imagine how funny that would be.
It's a comment and then also a question. I really appreciated this balancing act tool, and I feel like even West Contra Costa Unified School District can utilize something like this because they are not transparent. And I know we're talking about populations that are hard to reach, but believe and trust that the school district is not providing transparent budget information. And so this City of Richmond Staff Finance Department, I think this is a really great start and really good effort for sharing the budget of our city. So I applaud you all for that. And then secondly, in my other hat, I work for Fierce Advocates. We work with a lot of hard-to-reach populations. We also do leadership development. We provide residents with tools on how to serve on boards and commissions and how to be leaders in their local schools. I would love at some point to bring the funny guy to our leadership development training sessions, if your boss allows it, because it is really important to make sure that we share this information with residents. And so, yeah, I really appreciate you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your feedback, and we really appreciate community feedback as much as the community appreciates us.
Okay, we have some more questions. They're rolling in now. The next question is from Nahari Smith. Will we be able to see the results of the community input in real time after this meeting? And the next question is, how will it inform the decision the city makes on the budget?
So the answer to the first question, will they see the results live after the meeting? The answer is no. They will have to wait until the results are presented to the city council. And the second question, you'll have to repeat, Bert. I forgot. What was that?
How will it inform the decision the city makes on the budget?
How informed how will it, I'm not comprehending.
The second part was how will it inform the decisions the city makes on the budget? And again, we're going to compile the data. And so a lot of the other questions that were asked here in the chamber as well as online, we really encourage you to use this online tool, especially the first one that was shown, the prioritization. And you have an opportunity to include your comments because it allows us to more easily pull that data so that we can turn around and present it to the city council, both in the PowerPoint presentation as well as the online document, so that you can go to our city's website and get that. How do we get it out to more people? It is on our city's website. Share it on your social media, share it and get the word out, and so that we can more easily compile that data so that we can present it, so that we hear from you what the priorities are, and this is how we inform the budget. And hopefully that answered the question for the online person.
Thank you, Andrea. Avinash?
Thank you. So I actually have a question followed by a comment. So the question is, last year, March 2024, I made a city public comment during city council meeting when the budget was being discussed then. And there was a sharing that there were 3 years worth of budgets that had not been spent down, and thus they were not willing to look at new projects for budgeting. Is that still the case, or are we we're in a position where we can actually present new projects?
I believe you're talking about the capital projects, right? So that, they were talking about, there were some, pending work because the department was in reorganization. They were like hiring staff and all that. The Public Works Department did a great presentation last night during the city council meeting, and they just gave an update. I believe the situation has improved, meaning a lot of work has been accomplished. I won't be able to give you the specifics. I would really highly recommend to see the presentation last night, unless there is a staff. Robert, you want to speak about it a little bit? Do you feel like about the CIP update? We have Deputy Director of Public Works Robert Armijo here. We're lucky to have him tonight. You can come here, Robert.
Good evening. As Mubin mentioned, my name's Robert Armijo. I'm the Deputy Public Works Director and City Engineer. So we are going through a process, and I agree with Mubin's comments that watching last night's presentation will kind of shed a lot of light on the current status of the program. We are going through a process where we are evaluating new project requests, so there will be new projects. I don't anticipate that new projects will get actively worked on this coming fiscal year, so we still have a pretty big backlog of projects that we're trying to get through. We have about 95 active CIP projects. For a city of this size, it's an absolutely enormous CIP program. We've completed about 24 of them since reorganization that Mubin was mentioning. So that we still have about 75 projects kind of in the backlog right now.
Quick follow-up question to that. So does this process inform how those projects will be prioritized? Or is it different?
Yeah, I think it's a different process, but we are having a discussion with council about how to prioritize. It's a CIP scoring system. Again, last night's presentation will give you a lot of detail on that. But yeah, there's a combination between staff scoring system and council direction is how projects will be prioritized.
Great, thank you for that. And as to my comment, so I have the great pleasure of having been raised in Richmond, and I'm still a Richmond resident. And I'm also very fortunate to be the executive director of the Richmond Museum Association, which has been in Richmond, preserving Richmond's history and legacy for the last 70 years. And we have two sister sites. The Richmond Museum of History and Culture, which is actually the city's first library building on 4th and Nevin, and the SS Red Oak Victory built here in the Kaiser Shipyards during World War II. And we thank the city for your collaboration and your support. But we're also interested in, also emphasizing the needs that remain, particularly with the building at 4th and Nevin, which is over 100 years old now, precious building, houses our collection items, but unfortunately we do not have the environmental monitoring or the foundation soundness that is required to do a good job in preserving these materials and these stories. So I did want to highlight that, and I did appreciate seeing that strategic points 2 and 3 kind of touch on those points. Furthermore, with the ROV, we're looking to relocate the ROV so that it is central to those visiting Richmond and could inspire folks to stay in Richmond and spend some money here. As also allowing for space in the port so that we can allow for more commercial business.
Thank you so much for your comment. Any other questions, Bert, or comments?
Yes, we have another question from Robin Lopez. Will results that are expected to be shared compartmentalized self-reporting on zip code? For example, will we be able to access priorities between 94801 versus 94805 and so forth? It would be interesting and helpful to see if there are differences across social economic gradients, and how will council take that information into consideration?
Great, thank you so much. I believe there is a lot of comment in there, but the question that do we have a detailed input down to the zip code level? Not yet, not at this point. We just introduced this tool. It's the first year. Well, how refined it gets is really yet to be seen. So we do not have that level of detail at this point.
Okay, the last one is another comment I'll read. Hello, my name is Catherine Rife, and I am the Director of Policy and Communications at the Latino Center. I also am part of the planning team of the Richmond Task Force and Coalition to End Gender-Based Violence. In its partnership, over 25 organizations and over 30 community members who are working to end gender-based violence in Richmond. We look forward to presenting an update to City Council on May 27th, and today we wanted to share that our comment is that we hope to continue to partner with the city on this important topic, and that the city consider providing a part of the upcoming 2025-2026 budget to support our coalition and our work. That is the end of all the comments and questions.
Great, thank you so much, Bert. Any other in-house audience question? Yes, Avnish.
I'm Karen Buchanan, President of the Board of the Richmond Museum Association, and I want to echo what our illustrious Executive Director Evelyn Santos said about prioritizing infrastructure projects related to the crumbling physical plant of the Richmond Museum of History and Culture building at 400 Nevin. I want to make sure that the city pays attention to us and gives us the staff time to fix projects that need to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. Any other question or comment? Yes, there is. Avnish.
Hi, my name is Luis Palacios. I am a member of the board of the Richmond Museum Association, and I'd also like to piggyback and pile on to that sentiment that we would definitely appreciate the budget considering the Richmond Museum building in improving its infrastructure, as well as helping out with moving the Red Oak Victory ship, or just any improvements that can be allotted to the ship. It would help greatly the city of Richmond. I am from San Pablo, but I'm a stone's throw away from Richmond, and it affects everybody here. It affects our local economy and the education of our local residents, as we are tied. So thank you for the time. And I did want to add another comment. As far as things that interact with the community, like this budget, which is a great tool, simplifying certain language so that the community can understand it better instead of a lot of big words. I graduated from Richmond High School, and so I understand the education system, and it would be appreciated.
Thank you so much for your comment. Appreciated. Any other questions, comments, compliments? All right. Bert, anybody online?
No, we good to go.
Yes, there is another.
As an older white woman named Karen, I'm contractually obligated to demand to speak to managers, but I like to flip the script, and I give compliments and commendations, and I'd like to include all the city staff in this room. You did a bang-up job today, amazing presentation. Thank you so much.
You're
and
welcome.
all the answers were clear and really made sense, and thank you, and keep up the good work.
Great.
Go on.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for attending. And
Thank you, everyone. I just want to say thank you as well for attending and for all your great questions and comments and for your input. And again, go online and share the information. And we need your help to share this tool and get the information out.
And I would like to thank the staff, city staff, who did really the real work, which was Fred Nisha Marks and Bert Jones behind the handling the online part of the meeting and also creating the tool. And Vernesia Ward greeting everybody and really being the backbone of the budget team. And Avinish Nadan really doing all the great work, and also Jerry Gruhl, who's the budget manager. I'm just the backup guy, and he's out at conference. Hey, Jerry, I know you're tuned in to the meeting. So thank you so much, Antonio. And KCRT, we could not do anything without Richard and Travis, who have been great partners at KCRT, and also the translation services. Thank you so much. And well, the benefit of AI, like Office 365, you can also ask them to find safe governmental jokes. They gave me some, but my boss still didn't approve. So thank you so much, and you guys have a good evening.